to the Gen 205 Gender and Justice overview of unit number 1. So I will do unit overview videos for each unit, right? Each unit is about 2 weeks long, although this first one's only a week and a half. But it gives you a sense of what to expect for the unit. I'll take you through each task for the unit and describe a little bit about the content, right, of the unit. So I'm going to take us over to Blackboard and then we'll get started. So when you land on the Gender and Justice homepage, right, when you open us up, this is where you land. Everything you need is here on the homepage. There's a general welcome to the course overview video that will be here, a general syllabus overview video that will be here. The syllabus is right here for you to download for your records and your reference. Need to know how to get a hold of me? Here's how you do it. You can, contact me through the Remind app. You should sign up for the Remind app. It's optional, but I encourage you to because I'll send out sort of weekly reminders about what's due, what's coming up, and anything else important. You can always text me or email me. Either way, I prefer email, but text is also fine. And I'll respond. I like to say give me 2 days, Monday through Friday, but I often respond a lot more quickly. I'm also really happy to set up a time to meet, right? So if you are getting into unit number 1 and you're really confused, just reach out to me. I don't have office hours because I found for an asynchronous class, office hours didn't really make sense. So I'm available to speak with you one-on-one via a phone call, Zoom, Skype, whatever works for you. So unit number 1 is right here. Let's click on it. And then when you click on it, this is where you will start. So you'll notice the tasks are here. Tasks 1 through 5, diving into gender justice. This is task 1. So the first task is actually watching this video. So this is a little bit about what the unit is. This little intro will always have the dates, general info, the theme, and what to expect. So for this particular unit, really, we're just introducing you to the idea of gender and justice. What even is feminism? Why is intersectionality such an important concept and theoretical approach for feminist scholars and activists? Okay. I also have the information here on the optional Intro to the Class Zoom on Tuesday, August 31st from 1 to 2, right? And in general, just remind yourself and remember throughout, our units are long, right? This is 1.5 weeks worth of work, so you can't get it done in 1 day, right? So think about how you're going to arrange your schedule around that. For unit number 1, again, there's 5 tasks. The first one will be watching this video. Then task number 2 is getting started, right? Because this is the first unit for our course. So task 2 is a little tricky because it's actually 3 mini tasks. The first one is signing up for our course's Remind. I also have a survey. This is anonymous, so obviously I won't know if you've done it or not. It's just helpful for me, where I ask general questions about your comfort level with various ideas and tools that we'll be using this semester, right? What are your top 3 needs from me, right? If you want to attend our optional Zoom viewing party, I think it's in unit number 3. It's in September. Let me know what times work. I kind of have 2 different days with 2 different times. And just any other information you want me to know. Again, this is anonymous, so I won't know who you are. The other thing that I would like you to do that is not anonymous is work on this Google Doc that has 3 questions that will just help me understand, again, where you as students are coming from this semester and, sort of as a class where we're at. So the first question is to complete that survey, right? So it's the same survey that I just linked to. And then the second questions, there's 2 of them, A and B. So what are your hopes, goals, expectations, and or wants for this course? And what does respectful class communications look like to you? As you can see, at least one student has already jumped in here. Thank you, Sam, to answer these questions. Question 3, what are your expectations of Professor Jackson and their responsibilities? So what do you want of me? How often do you want me to email you? How often, do you want me to email you or would you rather I text you? What's a reasonable grading period? What would you like to see? What are you worried about, right? So if you have anything, that you want to share, please do it here. And just make sure that you add your name, just like Sam did, so that way I know who you are, and you get your couple points for doing it. 1 point. The other thing I want you to do, well, there's several things, but the other intro thing I want you to do for this unit, unit number 1, is to introduce yourself. So find your assigned group's discussion board forum after you click on click to launch. You're going to be in this group all semester, so click through and then answer the questions for unit number 1. So if you hit this, or you can go here, it will take you to the discussion board landing page. And then see which one of yours, which organization pops up, and that's your group, right? If an organization doesn't pop up, let me know. That means I made a mistake, and you aren't actually assigned within Blackboard. So let's say you are assigned to the Sylvia Rivera Law Project. You don't have to worry about this, yet. That will happen in Unit 2. For Unit 1, you click on it, and then introduce yourself. When you introduce yourself, I'm asking you to hit reply and then share the name that you go by, the name that you want us to call you, your pronouns, if you're comfortable sharing your pronouns in this space, why you decided to take this course, especially if you aren't actually a gender studies major or minor. And then, I know people are always like, oh, share your major, the year you're going to graduate. And, that's important stuff, but it doesn't always stick in our brains. But what will stick in our brains is something really weird or fun or interesting about yourself. So I've had students who, are obsessed with like vampire novels, or I've had students who, are sneakerheads, and back when we would actually be in class together, would then show off their sneakers each week. I had a student who was a backup dancer for a famous singer. I've had students who have, their special thing is that they have, 3 cats, 2 dogs, 1 kid, and, a ferret in a small apartment, right? I love seeing animal pictures, just FYI. You'll probably see my dog pop up a bit in my work, in these videos. So again, just sharing something really interesting, weird, or fun about yourself. And then once you start to do it, I will also come in and do this so that I'm interacting with each group as well. So, you'll reply here, replying, and then you'll hit submit. I also encourage you to say hello to a couple of your other classmates, right? You're going to be in this group all semester. Also, we're an asynchronous class, and in an asynchronous class, y'all can be each other's best support network. So, you've done task 1, watching this overview video. You've done task 2, the survey and the Google Doc and signing up for Remind. You've done task 3, you've introduced yourself on the discussion board post. Task 4 is the heart of this unit, because this is the substance. This is the content. This is everything I want you to read, to watch, and to hear. I don't use a textbook, so I curate the readings for you. So you're like, oh my gosh, why am I scrolling? Why is it so much? I know it can be overwhelming, and I encourage you to, just sit with that feeling and work through it, because I promise you, I'm giving you a similar amount of reading and a similar amount of work in a way that's actually much more interactive and hopefully engaging and, really speaks to you. So I start with some short reads that explain what feminism is and why intersectional feminism is really the only feminism that matters. So I'm asking you to read a piece by 2 different professors, feminist professors and scholars, one from the Encyclopedia of Gender and Society, the other from the aptly named Encyclopedia of Sex and Gender. So 2 different ones, both very interesting, both have very interesting takes on what intersectional feminism is. You'll have to log into the John Jay Library to access this. I was already logged in, so it just popped up for me, right? And so when you're here, you can then, download it as a PDF if you like to read it that way, or you can just read it here on the page. I always encourage students to pay attention to subheadings. I think subheadings are awesome. Subheadings help, they're guideposts. They let you know what's really important. So if you're reading about intersectionality and intersectional feminism, right? If we're talking about intersectionality as a way of understanding how we carry multiple identities within us and how society, including institutions and other people and systems of control, respond to all of our identities, right? So it's a way of understanding how, our gender and race and age and sexual identity and citizenship status and body size, body type, et cetera, our class standing, really impact how we move through the social world and how the social world perceives us. Intersectionality really isn't just about the individual, though. It's about those systems that are based on or maintain these systems of inequality and social control. So you'll learn a bit about the history, herstory, theirstory of the feminist movement in the US. You'll learn that, just like not all John Jay professors think the same, not all feminists think the same, and there's a lot of disagreement. We focus a lot on feminists of color in this class because they tend to be right. So you're going to read about intersectionality and immigration, intersectionality and the pro-choice movement, right? Reproductive justice. You're going to read about intersectional identities. Okay. Then I want you to read more about intersectionality because I was like, Phil Cohn did a good job, but I want a little bit more here to make sure students know what's up. So I'm asking you to read this other piece that gets a little bit more in depth into how this idea of intersectionality came into being, and really talking about gender, sexuality, race, and power, right? So again, you can just scroll here. I also love it when things are hyperlinked because then you can click on it and then kind of see what else you could learn about if something is confusing. And again, there are subheadings. Yes, love a subheading. And so you'll get a little bit more here. So again, those are encyclopedia entries, so they're not long, they're short, right? But together they'll give you an idea of what intersectionality is. Then I want you to watch a video with the person who created the term intersectionality and intersectional feminism, Kimberly Crenshaw, Black legal scholar, feminist scholar, very, very, very well known, nationally and internationally. And so this is about a 20-minute talk that she did. And I encourage you, when you listen to this, to sort of pretend that you're there. She does something, I think at the beginning, where she asks you to stand up and then to sit down at certain points. So try that, you're at home or wherever it is that you're doing this this work, coffee shop, outside, stand up and sit down because that visceral engagement can help you learn better. Then I have a little bit more about just what feminism is. I know feminism can be really confusing because feminism can be an identity, like I am a feminist. Feminism can refer to movements, right? Like the feminist movement in the United States or the waves of feminist movement in the United States, right? So first wave, second wave, third wave. We're technically in the fourth wave, if you were curious. Feminism can refer to actions. But again, not all feminists agree. For example, my own research, my own scholarship, I study sex worker rights activism, sexual labor, and my research has led me to the point of advocating for the decriminalization of sexual labor. My research shows that anti-sex trafficking advocacy and laws are actually really harmful and don't do what they say they're going to do and actually hurt sex workers and undocumented immigrants. But other feminists are like, oh no, like Jackson's wrong. Like that's not right. So feminists disagree. And this is part of what research is about. This is part of how science works, including social science, as we build on ideas and trying to understand for social science how the world works. Why does it work this way, right? Why are inequalities so enduring? Right? Why are families organized the way they are for us right now, right? What are all the kind of family types that exist in our society that we don't necessarily even think about as proper family, right? What about chosen family? What is traditional versus non-traditional family, right? So many questions, so many things. All to say that feminism is a complex area of study. Feminism is a complex form of praxis. Putting theory into action is what praxis means. I am trying to get you introduced to this idea of feminism now that you're in Gen 205, right? And so I have a piece here called Feminisms. Ooh, there's an S on the end, and acculturations around the globe. And then another piece called Feminisms. Again, there's an S that's plural in the United States diaspora. So these two pieces are going to give you more insights, historically and contemporarily into what feminism is and what it can mean for you. And then I have a link to a podcast from the podcast Hood Rat to Head Rap, a decolonized podcast about the gender binary. Because the gender binary, Blackboard. So this may happen to you. I often have to do it a second time, and then my link will show up. So this is about an hour, so take your time with it. If you want to pop around, you can, but the idea is to give you another perspective on how and why this idea of a gender binary, male and female, man and woman, boy and girl, is incorrect, number one, and two, really harmful and hurtful, right? It's a very aggressive, socially constructed idea that is very deeply ingrained in us, even before we are born, right? So this is a little bit about, critiquing the gender binary. It comes from Erica Hart, who is a sex educator, feminist activist, all-around kick-ass person, and they and their partner are doing this podcast together. So you have gotten started, right? You did the discussion board intro, you filled out our survey, and you filled out the Google Doc, okay? You're like, okay, I listened to, the podcast, I've done all the readings, right? I did all this, I'm good. How do I know I'm good? You gotta check in with yourself. So I have a quick facts check-in. You will have a quick facts check-in for each and every unit. Although you have a quick facts check-in for each and every unit, you'll note on the syllabus that you're actually allowed to skip one. Or said another way, one does not count in the grade book, right? I would suggest saving that for a little bit further into the semester, but just be aware of that for now. Okay, so if there is a time where you get really behind or overwhelmed, you can basically skip the majority of a unit and not be penalized for it. So the quick facts check-in is 4 questions that will ask you to check in with yourself and see if you've learned the main points. It is not timed. There are multiple attempts, so go back and fix wrong answers. It's open book, it's open notes. It literally is a way for you to earn 4 points by reflecting on your learning process and making sure that you've learned what you needed to learn for this unit. Again, you can save it and come back to it, multiple attempts. It's due on the 2nd. If you're a couple days late, that's fine. There's no points off, right? That's the suggested due date. And so this will be a mix of true, false, multiple choice, and I think 1 or 2 short answer, right? Again, if you get it wrong, that's okay. You can go back and fix it because there's multiple attempts allowed. So no matter what, you should be getting all 4 points on all of your quick facts check-in. So it's an easy way to get those points, rack up those points, right? If you have any questions about unit number 1, please reach out to me. I'm very happy to answer small questions, big questions. I want to make sure that you're comfortable with this as, the first unit, right? This is a way for you to be introduced to what the class is going to be like and how it's set up. The beginning of the semester, you're learning what your professors, how your professors organize their classes, and we all organize them differently. Even if you have all online classes, they're going to be organized differently and have different expectations. Even if you're taking all online classes, but maybe they're in different modalities, right? That's that fancy word for types. So, we are an asynchronous modality. We never meet. Others are a mix of synchronous and asynchronous meetings sometimes. Others are synchronous classes where you have to log on to the computer and be on just like you would be in a classroom, except you're behind the screen, right? Some of you might be taking online classes and hybrid in-person classes or in-person classes, right? So there's lots of different class types, as well as lots of different ways in which your professors profess in the ways that we teach. So please reach out with questions, text me, email me. I'm here for that. Otherwise, I will see you on the interwebs. All right, thanks everybody.